K-guard I consider to be a bit of an advanced guard because you really have to understand like spatial awareness, right? Like how to manage your own the distance, and we'll cover a little bit of that today. We don't have enough time to really get into the actual guard itself, but I'll touch base on things that problems you'll run into, but kind of a solution. But we're going to mainly focus on K-guard for entry to leg locks today. Yesterday it was more K-guard entry to arm bars, triangles, all that stuff. First we're going to warm up with the actual K-guard itself, and we're just going to use full guard as an example. Who's got flexible feet?
I'll use.
Oh, well, actually, you know what? Let me use you for a second. He's actually really flexible. So, all right. So we're gonna start full guard. So he's just gonna go to his knees, and I'm gonna get to full guard position. So if you're not familiar with this, is full guard. My legs are wrapped around. Believe it or not, this is a bit of an advantage for me. As you get better at jiu-jitsu, you'll see that this is a bit of an advantage. So what we're gonna do is. We're going to be using our hips and feet, as I always do with full guard, to push and pull. So when I say push and pull, I'm like trying to create angles, right? The reason why I'm going to do this is because I need to take one way or the other, and I need to get my hand on the inside. So when I pull him, I'm going to be able to shift my hip, because my hips will kind of come off the ground, and I can shift my hip. This allows space for me to insert my hand here and pull him. The reason why I pull him is so that his butt comes off of his leg. If I don't do that, my hand just stays there. I can't get my hand behind his knee. Once I get behind his knee, I'm going to turn my knee down to the mat. So I'm going to have to hip like so. So I went from here to here. So let's take it out. The way you have this right is if your knee is touching the mat. I want your knee kind of like as far down as you would possibly get. Your top leg is going to be kind of managing distance and space. What I don't want to see is when you get here and you turn this down, that you keep this knee flat like this. Jacob goes forward, and he goes kind of square up with me. Yes. Goes like this. I'm going to use this for distance control. Okay. So if I have it planted, he can simply just crush me down, and then it's a problem. So I want to open this knee, because I can also pull him. Push, pull, okay? Now I'm going to clamp my hand together, and this is going to be K-guard. Okay, very basic to K-guard, okay? You can step this leg back. Step back, go back to your knees. There you go. So this will be K-guard that we're going to play with, just for the entry. Now I'm going to go to the other side. So I'm going to swing. Okay? Gable grip, if you're confused with your hand grip, you should be waving to the ceiling. Wave. No thumbs. Clamp. Pull. Okay? I'm able to move like that because I'm balled up. I'm not flat. I'm balled up. Okay? So we're going to start there, and then play with K-guard. This is just a simple entry. From full guard. So let's do that, get a partner, and then we'll move on pretty rapidly from that. We're going to run across a couple of issues. So the first one is I get here, I'm able to get to K-guard. So this is K-guard. Now, eventually what people start figuring out is me doing this encourages his hip to turn and for him to go this way, right? Well, he knows that. He doesn't really want that. So go back one step. So we're here, right? As soon as I get here, most people will try to get the cross face. And what that cross face is, if you get to cross me like this, and I'm trying to pull, this is not good. Because eventually, this is a bit of a battle here. It's not the end of the world for me. But again, there's a bit of a muscle thing involved here, which I always try to get away from. I generally don't want to muscle stuff. I would go to something else. But in order to kind of mitigate that whole issue, is we have to address the cross face, which is the bicep. And this is in general universal, right? In any kind of guard you're playing or side control, whatever. If I don't allow his arm to get around my face, then you know, if I don't allow this, then he's gonna have a difficult time trying to control me because I'm creating space. I have enough space generated to move, okay? What he's trying to do is actually eliminate space, right? Because he's on top trying to crush. So the easiest way to do this is, if he's coming in, I stop the cross face from happening. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, remember this knee. This knee I always open. Now we're gonna use this knee as a push-pull. So the reason why I hook it in the armpit here is because the shin actually can push him and it can pull him. And when we combine all this together, it becomes very easy to manipulate his body with very little strength. Okay, go back one step to knee. So we're here. The main goal of K-guard, okay, here's the main goal. The main goal is for me to get his knee to my chest. If I can achieve that, then that means that I have a superior angle and I can start entering into the leg system. So what that looks like is push-pull. I pull him to my chest. I got here, now I can enter into legs. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna go to honey hole. That's what I was gonna talk about today. We will go to the backside 50-50, which is quite obvious, but we're gonna go to a little one, to one that's not so obvious. I'm gonna take my foot, notice this foot's free kind of now, because I'm not gonna keep it back here. I don't wanna do that. And actually place it typically around his armpit area, his body, to get him even further extended. If you notice, I'm starting to gain more space here. Okay, his knee is still here. I'm still gable gripping, attaching. This knee's gonna come out, or this leg's gonna come out. So, I'm gonna take his foot, and I'm gonna steer him this direction. Now we're just gonna pause for a second right here because if you notice where I'm grabbing, it's the big toe. Whenever I talk about leg locks, especially in fundamentals, we talk about where to grab the foot. Well, this is a case for that. I can go over, I can go under. It depends on the placement. But essentially, you have three places you generally want to grab a foot in most leg lock positions, almost all of them, with the exception of compressions. It's going to be heel, Achilles region, big toe bone, and little toe bone. If you can achieve this grip, just simply me pulling him forces him to roll, right? And he's flexible. So certainly if I come here, we go back to Alice's class, we get to a honey hole position. This is B1, honey hole, because I'm reaping over the top of the legs on the inside. I don't want to get too bogged down like that, but essentially we're going into honey hole position. A simple way to look at this is once I get to the knee to the chest, I can have two choices. I can throw the inside leg over, or I can throw the outside leg over. Each one will produce a different thing. If I throw the outside, it's backside 50-50. If I throw the inside, it's going to be honey hole generally, right? Especially if I cross that leg. So that's going to be the first thing we play with. And this is our first time doing it. It may seem really complicated, and it is. But as you get better at it, it becomes pretty second nature. Okay. So we warmed up. We got here. I got to my K-guard. I'm going to push-pull, a gable grip, and I'm going to push as I pull to my chest. This leg's free, so I'm going to push him even further. Now, you remember before, if you notice, I can't get my leg out here. Before, I kind of squared up with him so that this leg can get more space. If you have longer legs, it's okay. If you're bigger than the person, or longer, you can still keep this hook here, still grab the foot, okay? In this particular case, I wouldn't go like this because the angle of his foot, I would go over top and pull his leg. Now look, as I pull, look, this leg is now free. And as he steps, bump, right? And we have honey hole. So it's not, you don't have to do it necessarily exactly the same way every time. But if you notice, the thing that's making everything connect together is chest, push, rotate his foot. Those are the key elements.
Would you be able to do it on real time?
Yes. So, boom, boom, push, kick, grab his foot. I have this as another layer for rolling. but without getting too into the leg entanglement here with my legs, I'm still in honey hole position. Certainly if I come back, honey hole. All right. Different ways we can play this game. Stretch. There's different leg configurations. What I really care about is the reaping of the leg. Okay, there's a ton of variations. So that's probably the more difficult one because we're adding a little step, which is taking the inside foot and throwing it over. The second one's going to be much easier, but more detailed. How to finish. Cool. So if we get this one, we'll get that one pretty easy. Everybody got it? Cool.
Yeah.
2, 3. The backside 50-50 is a much easier transition. It doesn't require me to pull the leg across and him to roll over my body and back step and all that. It doesn't require all that. And honestly, this is probably which is going to be the more high percentage you're gonna find anyways. Okay, with this particular position. So we're gonna start again. Play K guard. Get to the inside. Okay, make sure the knee stays to the inside. I saw a few people, they would take this and they would just kind of forget about their leg and they drag it across. They have like but their knee's out here. I'm like, I can't. You're trying to go through your own legs. So it's imperative that you stay inside. So your knee has to stay to the inside, right? As soon as I get to the inside and I get a little bit of extension in him, I have full access to this leg. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take the outside leg now. So the first one was we retracted our inside leg and threw it over. Now we're just taking the outside leg, which is quite simple. Okay? We just take the outside leg and I'm going to chop through. Now when I chop through, there's a couple things I'm doing. I'm going to pull my knees to my chest. Okay. I'm pulling this knee kind of to my chest, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to give you a few variations we can play with here. The first thing I want to do is get a bend in the leg. Okay. Partners, I want to stay exactly how he's staying, kind of turtled up, right? Stand up on your hands. Don't just flop down or flop over. We'll get into that in a second. But stay in this position for now. If you notice, I'm bending this leg. I do this because a lot of times for a lot of leg lock escapes, people run. And so they try to pull their leg out. It's gonna be hard. If he tries to run, he's gonna pull me with him because I'm just attached. Okay, he has to straighten his leg for him to get out. And he goes. So the first thing I do is, boom, I attach. Now, what we're gonna do is, I'm actually gonna sit up. So I'm gonna sit up, get here. The next thing we're going to do is, what you're actually going to find when you do this is I actually want his knee kind of touching the ground here to the inside. That's how deep I want his knee to be. What you're going to find when you thread over, or even in this, you're playing around in this position in real time, what's going to happen is his knee's going to land kind of to the outside. Stay tilted up for me. He's going to be outside. Okay, so this is why we're going to sit up. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to hook. This isn't a muscle move to try to rip them back over top of your leg. It's actually two movements. I'm actually going to pull as I straighten the bottom of it. So as I connect and I pull, I straighten this leg, so that way his leg falls into the correct spot. All right? So once we're back into, go this knee down, so people can see it here pretty well. There. You're going to see you can figure four. All right? There's two variations you're going to find your feet in. One is going to be figure four, or technically three. One is not figure four. And the other one's going to be with your leg on the outside. Preferably, I have found as more I play with this position, is I actually prefer the leg to the outside. The reason why is because in this particular position with backside 50-50, almost every person is going to turn and roll if I don't catch his heel. If I catch his heel, he's going to break his own leg if he backsteps. But if I don't catch it, and I have this somehow, I can slow the roll as we go. And I can easily catch the heel and finish here. Okay? Whereas if I had, go knees down, and I had figure four, and I didn't have this, and I'm like, count up, and here's a back step. It's not the end of the world. I can still catch him, go to 80-20, 90-10, all these positions. But certainly having the leg to the outside, crunching my heels back, impedes his speed a little bit and his back step, if they can even back step at all. Okay, so go back to knees real quick. So sitting up, keeping a bend in the leg, here, straighten, retract. And I'm gonna figure 4. Now, if you notice, I'm just gonna go straight to the heel here. Bone goes to the Achilles. Don't put all the way through to the meat. This will work. You're not gonna have a problem finishing people here, but the better people you go against, this won't work. We'll just slip the heel and it won't work. Whereas if I put the bone there, it's much harder to slip. Once I get this position, we go back, I'm gonna gable grip. I wave at the wall or the person next to me, and I get the gable grip, and then I'm gonna go belly down. So the movement looks like this. Okay, that's gonna be the break. So if I was doing it very slow, I would start to rotate, that's it. Right, he's pretty flexible, so usually the person taps a few steps before that. Okay? And he's already kind of twisted up already, so. But partners, if you want to try to really study this position, try stay on your knees, right? And keep your butt up like this. This is kind of how you're going to land initially when you first get here. If the person flops onto the hip, it's okay because we're just going to follow them and boom, we're going to get them anyways. We'll be in 50. Yep.
Whenever you drop the far leg, do you still have to maintain the knee line with your bottom leg?
Yes.
Okay.
I always highly recommend maintaining the knee line at all times. Just because if we go back to that position, we start over here. So if I get here, pull him to my chest, kick him out, thread this leg through, and he pulls the knee out. Even if I have this leg to be outside, I mean, you see, like, I don't have as much pull power. I would still bend the leg to try to get some of the knee line out, but let's say it's completely out. There's no way I can control. That's why I would lock in here and then drag and kick to get him back over that threshold that I need him to be. Okay. So I would say I would maintain the knee line. If for whatever reason he's too far out like he just was, I'm like, oh shit, I lost it. And this is kind of getting into something else, but I will connect, and get here. This is actually a pretty good position once you start to really understand it, because we can always go back to it. If we're playing around here, they'll usually run away. This is pretty strong. You can just drag me across the mat. I've had guys drag me from here to the wall, and I'm still holding on. Right? But the good thing about this position is, if for some reason he steps this out, he steps this foot out like this, like just like back there running, I can go and attack this leg. Boom. Right? Take him back this way to a 50-50 or a funny hole or whatever. We're going to let this go over, go back to honey hole. We can attack the opposite side leg, or if he gets lazy and he just stays there, I sit up, I pull him back into the backside 50-50. So it's a good recovery position that you can just kind of hold on to, and then once you figure it out, shoot back in. If he does a back step, we just go into like a honey hole type position. So it's a good question though, because the backside is actually really good to study. The obvious thing is a calf slicer there. I'm just not a real big believer in calf slicers. Just because I don't see them high level tournaments, and most people won't tap to them. Even in training, a lot of people just won't tap to them because it's a lot of pain. Doesn't mean you can't break the knee, because you certainly can from a calf slicer. But usually it's a muscle thing too. The guy has bigger legs than you and he just starts stretching his leg out like that. You're not gonna crush his leg. Okay, so very low percentage. It does work though. So we're gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna go to full guard. Go in. So I just pulled him in. Get his butt off his leg. Got the K guard. Pull to my chest. Kick him out. The outside leg now threads through, and this inside leg pulls in. I pull the knee up so I get a bend, and I allow the leg to fall. If you can see on this side, the knee is actually perfectly placed. This is exactly where I want his knee in this particular position. I want it right on the floor next to my hip. For me, that's like the knee line. Like, this is good. If he breaches this and gets to the outside, then this won't work. Okay, we have to put a lot of recovery. So I keep the bend in the leg. My leg's on the inside this time. My bottom leg's on the inside, it's not on the outside. So I'm gonna come up. You get here. I still will cut the leg. You just get used to this. You can pull the leg out a little bit. Boom. here, pull him back, pulls the leg out, pull him back. I just want to get that knee right back where it was. He's out, I straighten up, pull him back. And then it's already in my armpit, boom, bone hits the Achilles. Even with a false grip, I can just go. That'll be a break. Okay? So as you get better at it, you don't need the full grip, but if you took Alex's class, you kind of went through the 5 grips. It's the same thing. You go false grip, gable, butterfly, genie, and rear naked choke grip. Or you wouldn't need rear naked choke grip, but like genie grip and gable grip is pretty much what you would need to make it.
You'll need the rear naked choke grip.
You probably need the rear naked choke grip on him, but well, maybe not backside 50-50. You can build some tension. I felt some tension. So this was a little easier, but there's a lot of little things to kind of make it work correctly and to maintain control. Right? So just try to get to the position, work on the control first, and then go for the finish very slowly. But the finish is very simple. Belly down. Cool.
Just one quick question. Do you want us to try the figure 4 or the leg on the outside?
Either one.
Okay.
Either one's fine. You're going to find your legs landing up in all kind of funky positions. Okay? So all I really care about is that bottom leg. It's either going to figure 4. If it's on the outside, it's going to be crunching back, catching the outside leg. And if you're already, fancy to this and you already know a lot of this stuff, then, place your foot on the outside. And you'll see how much more control you have because it's tight as soon as you retract. It's like 90-10. When you get across the hip and you pull them back in, you're like, oh shit. It makes the knee a lot tighter as you're attacking. Cool? All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. From back there. You just gotta navigate your way through it. All right, so real quick, I just want to address this because if we can, I had him kind of do some positional K guard sparring, which is kind of funny. So that's what we'll do today. But just so we know, like when I get here and I get to the knees to the inside, and I get this, and I hold it to my chest, and I kick him away, and I thread this leg through, and I hit him here, and I'm like, boom. Well, as soon as I go around, he does the back step. So before he does the back step, as a general rule, if somebody has a hold of your foot, don't twist, spin, or back step. Just don't do it. Because if he does a back step, he's going to break his leg. So just be very careful when we're playing with this position today. That if you get this, stop and start over. If you're new and you haven't trained with your partner very much, if you've been training 5 years together, that's fine. But like if this is somebody new and you get here, boom, just okay, stop. He's going to do a back step now, fine. So usually, even in live sparring, I'll get this and I see a guy's about to back step and I let it go, just because I don't want to hurt the guy. So he steps back, boom, but I still keep it. Right? I still keep it in my armpit. It makes all the difference. We go back 1 step. All the difference is me here. That's the importance of what I'm talking about when I'm like, got to keep this elbow clamped or a gable grip or something. So when I extend away and I go belly down, that's it. It's just, that's the break. That's how much movement is required. If you're like here and you still don't have the tap, something is functionally incorrect a few steps back. And it's usually, almost always, this grip, right? Because when we start to go down, my elbow starts to flare open. And I'm like this, right? So, but I know if I'm here and I keep the clamp, and then I extend away and I go, right? So that's the importance of this. If I don't do that, do the back step. Go to the back step. Yeah, it's fine. I just latch it back up right here, okay? So just that's how important that is, that grip. Because I was telling everybody when I was walking around, that elbow clamping and having a false grip or some sort of grip is the difference between breaking the leg and not breaking the leg. So just FYI, okay? It's certainly in your training. Just be careful when you lock that in and you got somebody going wild or something, just let go. So we go back 1 step. So this will be the last thing. I get here, I don't get it. He does the back step. I want everybody to get to the habit when the back step happens, keep rotating the knees down so that we can get to 80-20. The reason why it's 80-20 and then of course 90-10 we cross to an outside senkaku is because I have a higher percentage chance of breaking his leg than he does mine. Okay? It doesn't mean he can't attack my feet, he certainly can, but right here it's probably not in his best interest to try to attack because his foot's gonna break if it's isolated. So what I mean is if he does a back step, I don't want to be stuck here with 50-50 with him and then start all over again. I know he's gonna backstep. So anytime I get somebody here and I'm not quick enough to get up and catch the heel and he backsteps, boom. Like I'm immediately improving my position. Yeah. This is probably the worst, one of the worst positions. Crunching in, you can already feel it when I pull back in the knee without even moving my tongue. So anticipating the backstep, just improve your position as you go along, right? So if you got 50-50, 80-20, knees down, 90-10, I'm crunching across the body. Those are the basic 9 positions, which you'll start to learn as you go along. But I don't just want to land at 50-50 with him. I just keep rotating with him so that I keep ahead of the battle. Cool? Just a side note. Cool. Let's get well, actually, you know what? We'll bow out just in case the people have to leave. Then we'll get water mouthpieces and we'll do a little bit of training. Cool? 2, 3.